Recently on Saturday, we had the Million MAGA March, where there wasn't like millions of Trump supporters or even like a million or whatever. Basically, there was about 100,000 to 200,000. That is what is kind of like estimated by the left, by the right. So we're going to guess that it was between 100,000 and 200,000. It could be 200,000 plus, but that's around the number that everybody is kind of staying. So I'm going to stick with that. Now, at this little march, I wouldn't say little, a big march actually, there was a lot of people in support for Donald Trump and against the whole rigged election that we know is just because they want to have Joe Biden in so that they could get control, they could get power, they could have people like Hillary Clinton and Kamala in charge, and not literally him. He's a little puppet. So obviously, we all know what's going on. Okay, so Trump himself, he even showed up early in the morning for the people that first got there, and like it's not like he got out of his car, he was walking around, he's like, shaking people's hands and everything like that. No, he did a little drive by with like all his people from the White House and everything, his little security guards, and he had a thumbs up. He was congratulating the crowd that was in support for him, and it was a really good moment. It was really cool that he actually showed up there. He didn't have to. He has a lot of things that he has to do as a president right now, and to take his time to show his supporters that, yeah, I am there for you guys. I really like what you're doing. That's really awesome. I think that that was really genuine for him to be doing that. So yeah, it's like after Donald Trump was doing all that, people, they're having a grand time. They're having, dinner later on and lunch and celebrating in the streets, singing the national anthem. It was really cool and it looked like it was a fun time. Like honestly, I wish I was there. But as it started getting dark, and it starts getting dark a lot earlier now, at least by 6 o'clock in some places, Antifa, they come out of nowhere. They come out of the alleys, the dark alleys and bushes, and I don't even know. It's like, I feel like at Trump protests, honestly, it's like Antifa, they shine a light, kind of like the Batman light. They shine their little logo somewhere in the sky, and all of a sudden, all of Antifa, they're just like, oh, we have to assemble there. Let's go and ruin everything for the right and everything for conservatives so that we can try to destroy this country. So nightfall hits. A lot of conservative pundits and different commentators, they posted on Twitter that after it gets dark, you need to go back to your hotels, Airbnbs, anything, your homes. You need to go to safety immediately. Do not bring kids there. The elderly, you should be prepared. You should not be in these circumstances because they will show up. They're already saying that they're going to show up. These are the same people that said that they're going to try to overthrow the White House a few weeks ago or like a month ago. They're absolutely insane. They're not living in the same world that we are. They're totally like delusional. And they showed up, okay? So this is what happened, and unfortunately, a lot of innocent people, they were targeted, and it really sucks, but it's just the reality of what can happen. And that doesn't mean, no matter what I say right now, and I tell you what happened, it doesn't mean that you should be scared to go on the streets to protest because of your different ideology or your opinions that you have politically. Don't be scared of these cowards, these masked cowards in black that they have to hide their face all the time. They have to hide their identity. They take their own insecurities out on other people. Don't care about them. You could be at the wrong place at the wrong time anywhere. But it doesn't mean that you should be afraid of these cowards. Don't. So this is just what happened. Okay, so one of the first things that I thought was very disturbing is that there was a younger couple. They look like they're around my age, maybe a little bit younger. I would say they look like they're like 21, 22, just around that age, but they could be a little younger too. I don't know. Okay, so it is a couple. It is a guy and a girl, and it looks like the boyfriend, he's just walking with his girlfriend, and all of a sudden BLM starts throwing liquids at them. They start hitting them in the back. They start going after them, making loud sounds. And this woman, or not the, like, the girlfriend or whatever, like, she is crying in fear. She's holding on to her boyfriend, and she is so scared. For what? For them to, like, get a laugh out of it? They want to go mess with people? That's their little fun while they're in quarantine? They obviously don't have lives, or they're not at work or somewhere important with their friends, their family. They have to be here tormenting an innocent couple. That was one story. There's a lot of videos I think that a lot that I talk about. You can go to Andy No. He is an amazing journalist from Portland, and you can see all the content from his page. So, yeah, you can see that all there because I'm not going to put any edits or anything like that. I honestly just don't feel like posting all this because it gets really bad. This is just the beginning. Next, you have another story of a girl, and she's also younger as well. Blonde girl, you know, about in her 20s. And Antifa or BLM, either one of them, they steal her phone, they take it, and then they try assaulting her. And they won't give her phone back, too. So I don't know if she ever got her phone back, but it looks like they stole her phone. And why? Because she was at a protest for something that she believes in, that she's passionate about enough to actually show up in person? Also, you'd remember press, they were joining in with a lot of the crazy people, and they were burning different hats that were stolen from Trump supporters. So a lot of the hats, the red hats that we all know, Make America Great Again, they were stolen. And also, you know, Keep America Great, just a lot of different apparel was stolen. You had shirts that were stolen, and they were burning them. And a member of the press did that as well. So obviously, they're not a real journalist by choosing a side. I mean, you could always be kind of biased if you want to, but I feel like to actually join someone and do something like that, especially burning stolen hats, what are you doing? Seriously, what is wrong with you? My God. The mainstream media and even a lot of the independent media is just so sketchy. Like, journalism is so hard to follow nowadays, honestly. So another story that happened was a woman, she was in her late teens, or maybe she was, like, you know, in her early 20s. She had her phone stolen by a BLM activist that randomly they just took her phone, and I think they tried to assault her too because it kind of looked like that on the tape. But they definitely took her phone, and she was screaming. She wanted her phone back. They wouldn't give it back to her. It was really sad, honestly. I know a lot of people thought it was funny for some reason, thinking that, oh my God, well, she got her phone stolen. Look at the way that she reacted. Like, what would you do? What would you do if your phone was stolen? Pictures of your family, maybe even family that, like, isn't even around anymore. You have a lot of memories on your phone. It's like a flash drive of, like, your life that you've had in the last how many years that you've owned the phone. There was a guy though that tried to steal a Trump flag, and he was driving in his car. All of a sudden, he went by a Trump supporter that was holding the flag. He tries to grab the flag. The guy backs up, takes his flag back to protect his flag, and then the guy that was driving the car, he literally crashes into one of the telephone poles. And after he does that, his car gets totaled. He's not able to back up or anything like that. Even the guy that's filming, he's like, hey, you know, all your hate is what caused this, but it's really unfortunate that that happened. So he's able to sympathize somewhat for like a minute. Then, even better is right after the or after the whole entire crash, the police, they pulled him over, and I'm pretty sure they saw exactly what was going on, that he caused this accident because he tried to steal someone's property. Now the escalation, it keeps increasing and increasing. I feel like once it hits nighttime, people, they start acting a lot more intense if they want to do anything devious and start acting very, very bad. They're going to do that at nighttime. They're not going to do it in broad daylight because they want to hide their actions and what they're doing. It's better to hide what they're doing at night. Why do you think the majority of crimes, they happen not in broad daylight, they happen at nighttime? So as soon as it starts hitting night, yeah, you have all this craziness that's happening. That's why a lot of people are warning them. But one of the stories that we have, very major, is about a BLM activist, and it's a female, okay? She went around, and it looks like on video, she's got an American flag, and she's like holding it away from all these actual protesters for Donald Trump because they're there for the election. And she's having her knife out. She's literally taking a knife, showing everybody, like, if you come near me, I will do something, threatening them. Because it looks like she took their American flag. If not, she's still acting like a crazy person with a knife, okay? I don't know the whole backstory because no one actually really was reporting on it efficiently. So I see her with a knife going crazy. Everything is like, okay, what are you gonna do? If someone gets close to her, she's going to literally probably stab somebody or do something with that knife. Maybe she won't, maybe she's just showing it to try to, threaten people in that kind of way to make them back off. But she still has that knife out, okay? So she's getting crazy. Other people are kind of calling that out. And all of a sudden, you have this guy. He's done with it. He's fed up, okay? And he just punches her in the face so hard. She goes flying. She hits the ground harder than I've ever seen anybody hit the ground. Anything from a movie, anything from like a cartoon, anything. Like she goes flying on the damn ground. Hits the concrete, boom! And she's got blood dripping out of her mouth everywhere. And then the media, they say that that's because Trump supporters are attacking BLM activists and attacking Antifa support. No, it's not. She was literally brandishing a knife, showing other people that, threatening them. It's equivalent to a gun. What do you think's gonna happen? In the past, there was, I think it was IHOP or Denny's. It was a pancake house for sure. And this guy, he had a gun. He was about to shoot up the place, and someone attacked him, and then they got rid of the gun. Also, when she did get punched, and she's laying on the ground all cold and she couldn't get up until supporters had to, or not supporters, but police, they had to help her up. She literally wasn't physically able to do so. They took her knife away because she's threatening people. Nobody has time for anybody to be stabbed for no reason because some BLM activist is pissed off for whatever reason, okay? We don't have time for that. So, I mean, what if she ended up stabbing a bunch of people? It could have happened. So whoever took the knife away from her, and I'm not saying that I agree with whoever punched her, but it really could have escalated from that. Just imagine what could have happened. Another incident is that they stole a flag by a guy that was on his bike, and they pushed him down to the ground. He was just riding his bike and trying to, get through the city. He was elderly, very old, I'd say 67 years old. And when you're that old, if you fall and you get an injury, it could be, like, honestly, the worst thing that could ever happen in your life. And if you're that old and you're that fragile, when you break a bone, that's a very big part of your life that could affect you permanently and for the rest of your life. It's not something that just happens, like, if you're in your 30s or your 40s or whatever, okay? Like, if you're older and you get an injury, it's really hard to deal with. And to have that happen to someone, it really sucks. This guy, he was just on his bike. He had a Trump shirt. He's in full support. They attacked him, and they're throwing liquid on him. I don't know what kind of liquid it was, but they're humiliating him, throwing liquid on him, being absolutely disgusting to this guy that was an elderly, that was older. He was not able to defend himself properly. He was targeted by a big group of a bunch of little cowards that have absolutely no idea how the real world works. They want to take their insecurities out on other people. It's really ridiculous, and they did that. And I think it's absolutely disgusting in what happened. I think that people like Antifa, BLM, they don't have hearts. They don't have manners. They're not like us, okay? They really are not like us. I'm not trying to be like, okay, there's this, and then there's that. But we have different sides at this point, okay? You have one side that wants to defend cops and families and defend normal people that are actually, like, good. Then you have the bad side. You people that want to defend the criminals and people that are looting and rioting and they want to be disruptive and, you know, be vandalizing different properties and everything like that. And like, we're obviously not on that side. There's a crazy side and then there's a good side. There's good and there's bad. I'm sorry, but like, that's a fucking truth. Also, one of the guys I was talking about earlier that was punched to the ground, that was targeted by Antifa, they also took his phone. Now, he was left bloody and unconscious. He was not able, like, he cannot even wake up without a group of people helping him and picking him up and getting him to the point that he needed to be at. Like, this is ridiculous. Okay, honestly, like, I'm done with this. I'm so done with this. I think that I'm not going to be like the person that's like, hey, we should all get along and everything's going to be sunshine and rainbows. But like, what do you think that this is happening for? Okay, let's do the aftermath. It's because we are censored everywhere. We're censored off of YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, everything you name it, okay? Twitter. And you can't communicate properly. So what's going to happen? You have violence. Because nobody is able to come to a conclusion. They can't talk. They can't talk properly. Nobody can communicate properly. And then this is why we have all this violence happening right now. And I think it should never exist. It shouldn't even be like a thing that's happening right now. Because like, I feel like if people are actually able to communicate properly, yeah, they might hate each other's ideas, okay? You're not going to agree with it. You might hate it. You might be like, okay, this person's wrong. The other person's wrong. But at the end of the day, you'd have the, you know, time to actually be able to dispute what you believe in and to say the opposite opinion that you have. Instead, you have, you know, others going completely radical. I mean, that's what happens. I think that communication is a big, big tool that we have in America so that we can make sure that people are getting along properly, and we're not fighting like crazy people in the streets. I think that communication is a big thing. So what? You don't agree with someone, their political opinion, or whatever they stand for, okay? Who cares? You move on from that. It's not the end of the world. So we should still have that, but at the same time, if something's gonna change, it's like whatever, okay? That's how life is. That's how life is, okay? Life is going to change. And you don't really have control over anybody's opinion, so, I mean, so be it. Like I said, these people are pure evil. They're absolutely horrible, monstrous. And what happens next at the DC rally that took place on Saturday? A guy who was trying to leave the rally after having a good time, probably. Honestly, it was probably a really good time until all the violence happened and until you had all these crazy people go there to try to ruin all the fun. That you like, we can't go to a protest, we can't go to a rally without someone trying to freak out, right? So, anyways, apparently this man, he's leaving this rally and he's walking away. All of a sudden, you had this crazy person run up to him. They're either from Antifa or BLM or whatever they stand for, whatever ridiculous, crazy cause that they stand for, because they're insane. They punch him, sucker punch him from the side. He has no idea what's going to happen. He goes flying on the ground. After he goes flying on the ground, he lands face first on the concrete, on the street. And then people start kicking him in the head. They start stomping on his neck. Others come to go rescue him and to help him. And he is bleeding out of his nose. He is bleeding out of his forehead in different places that I honestly don't even want to describe, because I don't want my video to get restricted 18 plus. But he's bleeding everywhere, profusely. And others have to hold his head. They're saying that it is a brain injury. It looks like it. He's very, like, unstable. He's not able to make words. He's not able to make a sentence. He has no idea what's going on and then goes unconscious and people have to hold his head. Why? Because others, they don't know how to communicate properly. They want to hurt you for your political opinion. We have two different sides in this country. Where we should be allowed. We have more than two different sides. We have the Green Party, we have libertarians, we have conservatives, so we have liberals. But apparently, if you have the wrong opinion, the thought police will go after you, just like George Orwell said. I saw another man that was younger, and he was also attacked, and he was bleeding from, it looked like his eyebrows and from his forehead and his face too. And he also looked like he got a brain injury. So what happens, if you didn't know, fun fact, not actually a fun fact, disturbing fact, is that someone actually keeps hitting your brain over and over again, hitting your face, hitting your brain. It can cause damage. It can make you bleed from within eternally. That's not cool. Seriously, like, oh my gosh. Look at what happened to Andy No and the brain hemorrhage. It's not cool. It's really not. Like, this is so screwed up. I don't understand how the side could even be like this and think that this is fun. They make pages still off of Andy No when he got attacked from quick drying cement, and that was thrown on his face by being kicked and being beaten up by a mob. And the mainstream media, they didn't even defend him. Fox News, they had him on, but like, they didn't even properly defend him, to be honest. Joe Rogan also had him on, and he also didn't really properly defend him, in my opinion. I think that this is all screwed up. It's became a norm. Think of all the politicians, like, day one, Maxine Waters, go confront them, go show them what's up, go on the street, do something about it, like, take some action. How is that not sedition? How is that not, like, citing violence? That doesn't make any sense. Like, honestly, they're playing with these different rules where it's like the Wild West where 2 + 2 = 5. So in conclusion to this whole video and this whole mess, I hope you can see what can happen at a rally, what can happen for defending your rights in this crazy world that we live in. 2020 is absolutely insane. I think 2021 is going to be even more insane. I think that you shouldn't be scared. Don't live your life in fear. Fear is what protects the wicked. Honestly, it really does protect the wicked. And I think that you should not be fearful of any of these people, especially a bunch of little mass cowards that probably live in their mom's basement and drink, Soylent like Anderson Cooper 24/7. Okay, so these little zombies, we're not going to be scared of them. Absolutely not. That's not what we're going to do. We're going to be conscious. We're going to be safe. Go in groups. Be around people. The more people that you're around, if you are at a rally, the better. You don't want to be alone. So the last thing that I wanted to mention that I thought was the most disturbing story from this whole entire DC event is you had a family and they were together. There was a father, there was maybe even an uncle. I'm not sure if the guy was actually with them, but as of what I can see, you had a father, you had a few little sons that were about 5 years, 6 years old, around that age. I'm just guessing what their age is. It wasn't stated. Little boys, and you had a little girl, and she looked like she was about, 6 to 8 years old, clinging on to her brother that looked like he was in his late teens. And they're all walking together. Antifa is harassing them. They're walking after them. They're making loud noises, yelling at them. They're not throwing liquid on them, at least from what I've seen in the video, like a lot of other people. But they're trying to scare them and scare these little kids. They don't care. Look at what they did to Mini AOC. Look at what they did to Soph and the Covington kids. They have no mercy. They don't care if you're a kid, if you're a baby. Like, they don't even care. You could be a baby, you could be 3 years old, 4 years old, you could be the elderly, you could be my age. Anything. They have no hearts. Their hearts are black. And they don't care. These are the kind of people that we're dealing with. They harassed a family. They made these little kids cry and question. One of the kids, they said, Seth, what's going on? I'm guessing the brother's name is Seth, obviously. Seth, what's going on? What's going on? And they're asking, they have no idea. If I was a kid, I would have no idea what's going on as well. Like, that's not cool. And honestly, these kids are probably going to remember this for the rest of their life. Why is this even okay to happen in a free country? That's what we should be asking ourselves. Well, because big tech, the mainstream media, all their brainwashing and social engineering that they've done in the last how many years, their little Antifa gang that they've made, because we know it didn't start overnight. We know it didn't start overnight, okay? That's why they have different books in Barnes and Noble and Nook and Amazon so that they could even further their brainwashing. Trust me, I know. Sorry, I just had to show you. If you didn't remember, I actually keep up with this stuff. It's really gross. On that note, I'm gonna head out, but I'm gonna have another video coming very shortly. There's a lot of videos on my channel if you want to go check them out. And if you want to support this channel, I do have a PayPal at Living Capone. I also have a Buy Me a Coffee at Living Capone. If you haven't checked out that site, it's a wonderful site. They support a lot of creators like me that want to do our own independent journalism or talk about what we want to talk about. Honestly, they're very wonderful. So I'm going to have another video, I would say, within about a week or so, and I'll check you next time.